Hello everyone. So coming back with today's editorial, there are a lot of interesting news and facts. So uh, let's have a recap of today's news. Starting with the front page about the imprisonment case of RG Kar case convict. Stalin urges CMs to oppose the draft of UGC regulations. Second one is about the Central Life ban exports on not sugar exports. And there was a 5 police officer responsible for custodial death in Badlapur case. Here the images about the railway line that is connected between Bulgam and Katra in Jammu has completed. Let's have a third news is important. One, the custodial death of detained man sparks steer in Sambal. How the custodial death led to the protest among the outside people's police station. Sorry. Next one is another fire at a Mahakumbh. No casualties reported. UP government issues safety advisory. IIT Madras director endorses a cow urine properties again. Fifth one is about the one in 3 Indian wants to buy an electric vehicle. Next report. We will study about the through the charts and figures about the electric vehicle. Next one is about the editorials is UGC draft regulation has a serious constitution, and the small uses I've added in one slide. Moving to the next is we need to distinguish juries as judges. Eighth one is how do welfare politics translate into votes. And ninth one is about the UGC regulation of state university law. So there was a lot of interesting facts and uses at the also through the to the point exam point of view. So stay till at the last. So let's starting to the front page. The thought of the day is the sun is alone too, but still it shines. When you are preparing for these competitive exams and anything else, in many in long run, you will be alone. Sometimes feel very lonely. You don't know. You just left your friends. Many time that you just have found yourself alone. But that is the fact that making you more stronger and preparing for you the better upcoming. So here's the sun is also a best example that he is alone but still shines. And for being a sun, you have to do that type of hard work to be shine, and then you will not be alone. Like there is a thought now like success has a family but failure has failure is orphan, so like that. But just you have to learn from your mistakes and keep continuing your hard working till you reach to your goals. Just make your journey very interesting, so the destination is not so destination is fruitful actually, you can say. So it's so much thought about for today. So let's starting to the news. So first one is a lifelong imprisonment of RG Kar case. There are two newses about the RG Kar cases. In the last page I don't added. Basically this was a continued on page 10. Basically the RG Kar parents are not satisfied with the news because they thought not only one person involved, but that person that has a convicted has a lifelong imprisonment. Sanjoy Roy, the convict in the murder of the doctor at RG Kar Medical College. So he was a convict in a murder case of doctors at the RG Kar Medical College. So here the Arvind Das, the session judge, additional and session judge Sildan Arvind Das said it was evident that this case did not meet the stringent criteria for being classified and inappropriate as acute to prosecution's request for death penalty. So the 172-page judge said that the case called a carefully considered about the appropriate sentences and a balanced gravity of the crime with the principles of justice, rehabilitations, and preservation of the dignity. So here, what was the charges that was on the Sanjay Roy? Like section 64 rape, 66 causing injury resulting in death, and 103 murder of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sahinta. So it was a present till the last day your life. The judge will while reading the order. There's a fine of 50,000 and a 64 of BNS section in default. He was imprisonment for life and fine of 50,000. Section 103 of BNS imprisonment and life for offence under the section 66 of BNS. So moving to the next is Stalin's urge CMs to oppose the draft of UGC regulation. There is a 3 articles related to UGC regulation. About the editorials also related to this. There is a one text and context corner that I have covered in the last page. So what was the about the UGC regulation that was implemented, about the arguing to withdraw the draft of UGC regulation and 2024 and 25. So the Stalin also wrote the Chief Minister of Delhi, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Kerala, Telangana, West Bengal, all ruled by parties other than BJP. So calling upon them to adopt a resolution, their respective legislature, Tamil Nadu had done a draft against a draft UGC regulations. So because here are the many provisions in the draft UGC regulation that poses a serious challenges like academic integrity, autonomy, and exclusive development of state universities. Therefore, the request of Ministry Education may withdraw the draft the bills and discussion and review of the various concerns to better aligning their needs of diverse higher education landscape in India. And he said in letter to Mr. Pradhan. So basically the Stalin Chief Minister referred to resolution adopted in Tamil Nadu against the draft UGC, and she believed that there is a gust on assembly lines, so that the consequences of autonomy in universities. Basically, if UGC is come, then there is a one state, one education. There will be like autonomy, and also the UGC regulation held if implemented in, so that it will be benefits to also everything. Due to the central and state powers are different, so that this law is not passing. So it was just a serious challenge for the development of state universities. It is continued, so we will further talk about this in the next pages, or we all talk about the UGC regulation. So moving to the next slide is, here the important one is I found here is 24-year-old woman death in sentence of murder case. Basically, it was a case about 24-year-old woman who is in relationship with a guy, and her parents fixed her marriages with another one. So he was not ending the relationship, so that she just added the poison in a Ayurvedic tonic and given to her home at Kanyakumari district. This case was held in, it's about I think 3 years ago. Yeah, it was 3 years ago this case was. Sharon is a final year student. Sharon, a final year student of BSc Radiology, died on a multiple organ failure on October 2022. So it was a long case that now come to today, and she has granted a murder case, the first woman to so young have a murder case charges on her. So it was the 11th day after consuming a paraquat, a herbicide Ayurvedic tonic. That's a Ayurvedic tonic. At home, and there was also a poisoning of Ayurvedic, and after she A.M. Basir judge and Nitya Kant found Grishma guilty of murder under section 302 under the 2 days ago. The court imposed a fine of 2 lakh for offences, and she was sentenced under the imprisonment for 10 years with a fine of 1 lakh and 50,000 under section 328, section 20. It means that the cases was ongoing. After just 2 days the case was ongoing, but she was finally death sentence in his murder case. So 5 years with a fine and a false Indian formation, Indian penal sentence can be will run recurrently. Here the custodial death is basically it is these cases are seen in the Sambal district, also in Badlapur case. So the custodial death is basically when a police tortures any person in such way that just they take in the judiciary in their own hand and they led to the person death, that is custodial death. So so they had the five police officer. A court of Monday stated that five police officer on the death of Akshay Sinde, the lone accused of Badlapur sex assault case. Sinde was arrested in August 2024, alleged that minor girls inside the toilet in a school of Badlapur, a Thane district, and worked as an attendant on school. So on September 23, he was killed in alleged police shootout and led to the pistol and tried to kill them and shot in self-defense. The action was not justified. According to the reporters, 5 Thane police officers were present, moving with Shinde with shot dead. Force was not that the action were not justified in the case. Though Nilesh, the head constable, and Harish Tavde, police driver. So there is a forensic laboratory and it was found no residue disease in the fingerprints. The report was the version of Sinde parents who moved to High Court killed against the stages of encounter by the police. So FIR based on the magistrate report. Sorry. So yes, about the there is a study of the moods inclusion of 179 groups in SC, ST and OBC list. Basically ANSI is Anthropological Survey of India. Anthropological Survey of India. So it is a research institute with a category of 268 denotified semi-nomadic and denotified nomadic tribes in a previous believed has never been discussed. A 3-year long study commissioned by Niti Aayog has paneled the inclusion of 179 members, include the schedule SC, ST and OBCs in the list of 26 states, and 85 of them are fresh addition to this list. 26 states. So basically among the fresh addition, 46 communities OBC, 29 for SC, 10 for ST. The greatest number of fresh addition was recommended for Uttar Pradesh, and 9 communities found that many of 268 communities have already categorized the albeit partial either in state list. So reports are pending, there was a TRI's finding. Social Justice Ministry also Tribal and Affair Union Ministry of Tribal Affair revealed the Parliament and Social Justice Ministry have received the report. There is a 60%, 63 communities, more than 20% studies not traceable anymore. So the uncertainty grows here. The census and whether next caste will be enumerated with clamor for the proportion of growing in the absence of population count. So it was the 18 coach train that successfully completed the first trial of the new railway station between Budgam and Katra. Budgam and Katra, basically that goes to the Vaishno Devi. The Katra will come in that particular station. Katra in Jammu Kashmir, JNK. On Sunday, this is 272 kilometer. Baramulla line and connect with Kashmir Valley. So here the next news is about the custodial death of detained man sparked the stir in Sambal. So 100 of Girao police outposts are demanding action against the errant personal. 35-year-old tortured death, says the victim Azad seeks fear probe and sees the test of Uttar Pradesh government. So here the of the custodial death of in the Sambal district, when the 100 of the Nakash police station limits the demanding justice and alleged the death of 35-year-old man. The Irfan name that was detained after relating a filed complaint against that he is not repaid a loan on a month ago, and according to Irfan wife, personal took him to his custody for interrogation despite knowing about his health issues. Basically, he was tortured so much that he was basically he was already so much sick, and there was a allegation, there was a torturing of the police, uh, led to death. So the Sambal police rejected all the allegation of custodial torture claims and found died likely to, they are claiming that they died from heart attack, but this was not this constantly torture. Superintendent Police Sambal Krishna Kumar said when the decrees about to the police station, he brought the son also with him. He told that police his father needed to take his medicine. He took a tablet and suddenly fell to the ground. This was the basically reports given by the SP of that area. The situation turned out chaotic, and people are protesting outside the police station. Nakaz police station is named, where the senior official intervened to claim, who demanded the strict action, because you can't take a judicial in your hands if a person is detained in that level. The Azad Samaj Party Kanshi Ram, the chief, and Nagina MP Chandrasekhar demanded a fair investigation and responsible for the alleged custodial death. There is also a many custodial cases. I am not added in these pages, but just check out there. I will add if I found that I should add that pages. There are how many custodial get till now added, and what are the cases that is made till now till up. So moving to the next article is the another fire at the Mahakumbh, no casualties reported. UP government issues a safety advisory. A fire broke near Akhara camp in sector 16 of Mahakumbh in Prayagraj on Monday. There were no casualties in the incident. This comes day a fire triggered by a cylinder blast of engulfed 18 tents in sector 19, world largest religious gathering. So about 9:30 a.m. there was a Annakshetra fire station noticed the smoke rising near the Kinnar Khara camp. Immediately informed the control rooms. Fire department vehicle and personal area were patched to spot route using the water, sand and doused flames. Meanwhile, the Uttar Pradesh government issued a comprehensive fire safety advisory to ensure the pilgrims attending Mahakumbh. The advisory highlights the precaution and emergency protocols by the pilgrims. So the fire people need to services thought the helpline number. These are helpline number that if you are visiting to the Mahakumbh, then just note these 112, 9020 and 1090. You can just call if there is any type of like you find any emergency was stuck there due to any reason, just contact these numbers. If you are visiting to the Mahakumbh, just have a precautions and stay aware. So camp to ensure the immediate actions. So for tent safety, the advisory asks to refrain the storing flammable tents, do not use the non-standard leaking gas cylinders in the tent, and such material highly inflammable. So next is that was a very viral news, and also I found that it should be covered, that IIT Madras director endorses a cow urine for properties again cow urine properties. So it was a Monday said the scientific paper published in peer-reviewed journals evaluated anti-infective properties of cow urine. On January at Goshala in West Mambla said cow urine had antifungal, antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. He said researchers had conducted experiments like published and paper projects on. He's invited Goshala on a Mattu Pongal day dedicated to a cattle. A video on a clip of speech went to viral on social media, that many ridiculing his claim and unscientific and unbecoming head of the institution emission. On Monday, the media interacted a 5 research paper on the properties of cow urine and published in peer-reviewed journal. One of them is peptide profiling in cow urine level, molecular signature and physiology, like predicting the bioactive properties. So he was about the published in Nature, and research were done by ICR National Dairy Institute, Karnal, Haryana. It was published in 2021. So the US patent discloses the patent from United States to Khanos the use of bioactive fraction of cow urine distillate issued on January 2025 has been filed in the ICR and industrial research. So moving to the next article is 1 in 3 Indians want to buy an electric vehicle, next report. So how many of you are interested in buying electric vehicle, and if you are planning about a electric vehicle, just show this chart that what data reports are going. Although it is in initial phase, the electric vehicles are a little bit costly, but it has a huge impact on environment, and also provide a great it boosts to the economy lot. um, but there is also like there should be proper facilities so that we can buy electric vehicles, like there's a proper discharge, proper charging power stations, availability of everywhere. And although it takes some time to recharge, but it has also uh, uh, advantages of it. So let's have a this chart through which we can understand. Here the chart 1 shows that the vehicular market has highest potential for growth in the developing countries such as India. On the other hand, countries such as US, Switzerland, Denmark has already high vehicle penetration rate, that is have a lighted room for further growth. Here the India's US and US, Switzerland, Denmark, the vehicle adoption curve. When read together, chart 1 and chart 2 shows that the 36%, here's the 36% of the consumer are considered an EV for their next four wheeler, while 30% are inclined to toward electric two wheelers. 36% population want a four wheeler and 30% want a two wheeler. So the study estimated, when read together chart 1 chart 2 shows that not only there is significant growth potential in India's automotive market, as only small share of population 3.3% of owns a car, but subsequently portion of growth is likely to increasing, driven by consumer who are increasingly inclined toward EVs. The study also estimates 2.7 fold increase elite household by 2035 and suggests that there is affordability in a high price market. However, the barriers remain over half expressed, like 45% are dissatisfied with high acquisition cost, but cost is very heavy. One in three worry about the battery life. Of course, there is 1 in 5 feel the current variety model to insufficient. So that is to the challenges is there was chart 3 shows the address to the challenges, like charging infra 49, improving the availability and the coverability charging infrastructure, offering innovative financing options, scaling up to localized ensuring 60% which are being developed, like charging high acquisition cost. Those who didn't depict in is brown line, and blue line the adopting electric while in depicted in. So the charging infra is 51%, 49 one is battery life is 69% was not depicted, 31 was depicted, high acquisition cost 45, 55, model varieties are 60% are not depicted, and for 20 and 20% are model depicted. So it was a 52% of EV purchase. Let me just open that article. Yeah. So here the women's influence was 52% of EV purchase decision, while they influence only 38% of non-EV purchase decision in India. The report says about that 41% of the Indian customer are with two-wheeler preferences vehicles inbuilt in navigation, and 85% Indian user are open to considering a car model rented as next purchase. So the Gen Z is 2.7 times more likely to self-drive rentals. So the high income status is driven and drawn for the toward the luxury hand second car for the uniqueness, while a road trip prefers to be the vehicle for their durability. Seller is 1.5 times are likely to be selling their cars. This platform one-stops shops offering streamlined processes, improve pre-owned vehicles, organized platforms. The hesitation stems perceived a lack of lower level of trust compared to familiar work sources. Near the chart 4 also shares the first time car in tender premium segments. So the moving to the next article is the UGC draft regulations had a serious conditional issues. Basically the draft regulation by UGC Grand Commission on the selection and appointment of Vice Chancellor of universities that evoked by non-Bharatiya Janata parties, headed by the state governments. The main objection against this regulation is that constitute a violation of federal principles inside in a constitution of India. The state government concerned have a demand on its withdrawal. The UGC has sought to amend the regulation 2010 to that relates the selection and appointment of the vice chancellor by widening the area of selection. Under the existing regulation, a vice chancellor can select only from the among the academics who have minimum experience of 10 years as a professor. Though the amendment UGC declared that professional with a 10 plus year with experience in industry, public administration and public policy shall also be considered. Okay, so like if you're an expert in that field, that you don't need a degree to define it. If you have experience of anything and you are excellence in that they can be used as a professor, vice chancellor there for studying and teaching in that field. So here the draft regulation series raises a serious issues of constitutional that will need to be examined by separating a political contest of protest and political reaction from UGC or party in power. Basically, the objective of UGC is act that comes in 1956 by the parliament to make a provision for coordination and determination of standard in university. The act therefore mandate the UGC to take all the steps fit for the promotion and coordination and the maintenance of standard teaching and examination. So the UGC can allocate the fund to universities, especially for maintenance and development and specific purposes, collect informations India and on other countries. Like section 26 of UGC Act, a power of UGC to make regulations for implementing mandate of act, but it is made clear that consistent with this act rule made there a regulation to be defining the qualification of persons that to be appointment a teaching staff university, the minimum standard of instruction for grant for any degree by university, and regulation maintenance of standard coordination of work facility university. So basically that criteria, the minimum standard should be changed. It is not job for. So the fundamental objective of the act is to determine and the standard universities and promotion and coordination of university education, to lay down the standard of teaching and to prescribe the qualification of teaching staff whose job is to give instruction. To the instruction is the main function of UGC, like which does by making periodic regulation. But the problem arises is the statutory body begins with the to regulate an area which is not a part of parent act. Rules and regulation technically called subordinate legislation. The subordinate legislation can be made only in the consonance with the provision ultra vires acts and hence invalid. Like a close reading act would be sure to prescribe the qualification mode and selection of vice chancellor, unions statutes made by the respective legislatures, the selection and appointment of vice chancellors, the chancellors, Bombay High Court. There's a cases like Suresh Patil Khede was the chancellor of universities of Maharashtra. Others like also these are all cases that I was talking about the what should be the cases that should be added to. There's also a Maharashtra universities of Maharashtra and the chancellor other 2011. So therefore it is safe to assume that under section 26 act of UGC, the UGC has no mandate to make any regulation in respect of chancellor. So here was a Suresh Patil case. Supra took view the regulation 7.30. The parliament cannot override plenary legislation enacted by state legislature. However, the Supreme Court of India, Kalyani Mathivan in KV Jayaraj, overruled by we hold the UGC regulations, and it is only when the both houses of parliament approve the regulations, same can be act. So what is the key of ruling? The court made a significant ruling of question of mandatory section 7.30 UGC regulating the Kalyani Mathivana case. Supra says, however, the finding the Bombay High Court regulation 7.30 treated as a universities and colleges under state legislation resolve the parents' controversy. So here's the small corner news. Go Coco. Already talked in yesterday newspaper was that the Coco stretched by in imaginations among the world's population to have a sports event in the India where the game is not yet called imagination. Not many women's title at inaugural Coco World Cup in New Delhi on Sunday. Also on the men and women both are going to both are playing inaugural World Cup. It's about the T20 World Cup last year, but in the mind of game of 64 squares. India has a grandmaster has been authorizing one success story after another level. The latest being D Gukesh winning the World Cup rapid champion chess, and Konru Humpy regained the women world rapid championship. Just remember her names and what are the questions can be asked. These are the famous personalities that was recent and trending in the news. So, however, not received the acclaim support this day. So they are not receiving the acclaim or support they deserve, especially after the historic double gold at chess back in September. So there was a below Olympic last year where India failed to win even win the states failed to win a single gold, and we had 71 first below, and Pakistan Kyrgyzstan was another stark reminder of state for Indian sport. India won a sixth medal, but its performance was below the expectation. India's various sports federation need to review their own functions. They could be in fact learn lessons from the Board of Control Cricket in India for criticism directed against it, such as games like such as Kabaddi. Pro Kabaddi League has shown that there is a scope for Indian sports on the television beyond that their cricket. The government center also have do better by developing infrastructure, nurturing, and Khelo India is just justifying the huge budgetary spend. So moving to the next, we need to distinguish juries as a judges. So here are the critical aspects of judicial system is effective and urgently timely in delivery of justice. This can achieved in India at a judicial system only if the significant crisis of there is a backlog vacancies is addressed urgently both judiciary and government. So so the data of January 1, 2025 shows that there is a 371 posts of the 1222 postage section across high courts and of the country remain vacant. Basically here the writer is talking about that if there is a lot of cases that are pending in the courts and there is a judges are less, so there is a there is some provision of the direct entry of their of judges on the basis of their experience, on the basis of their like their expertise, so that the cases that are pending should be resolved early, because there are a lot of cases backlogs were pending and the seats are remained vacant. For being a judiciary you have to just clear that particular any exam and then you have to experience. So here there is like Allahabad, like the high courts of the countries remain vacant and almost only 50% of total sections stand. Naturally, this has a direct impact on the already alarming level of backlogs, as a million of people have to wait for long time for justice. And justice judicial system is eroding, although there is a perennial issues about 60 lakh cases pending and about immediate steps in reformating measure. While it is true for the pace of collegium recommendation resulting in appointments pick up, so the match number of retirement has ever been increasing, a number of filing interns, this has put enormous strains to the engagement particular cases. Therefore, a well-staffed judiciary functioning a near total section strength is need of hour. In the context, Article 124(3)(c) and Article 217(c) repeal the Constitution become increasingly significant. Appointment of individual who opinion a precedent read collegium are a judice as the judges of Supreme Court and the High Court. Unfortunately, the Article 124C remains unutilized. Article 217.2 has been repealed without any reason, and although it's a routine practice in judication across the globe to appoint a jurist as a judges, High Court, Supreme Court in India, from the bar practices and judicial time. At the time of issues of vacancies and backlog is stifling system, there is a distinguished jurist to High Court of country and turned out similar ideas. The Shibban Lal Saxena, but negatived by Constituent Assembly on June 7, 1949 without any meaningful deliberations. A vast pool of specialized knowledge can, based on a critical thinking and expertise, can provide a unique insights and add a hitherto missing dimension to the judiciary. So the institution are challenged that we need to overcome as well. An important message is like a country such as United States, Poland, Myanmar, Kenya, Thailand, Spain, professor law to be appointment to a post equivalent. Judges in High Court, Supreme Court have a vast benefited from this practice, and India where academic expressed legitimate concerns, grievances have been adequately nurtured. Article 217 adopting a juris code, adequate training of procedural know-how to the and the experiences across at same time adequate training, procedural know-how, court experiences, presence of sharpest academic minds on bench would be ensured that judicial discourses is enriched, and granting for opportunity is to distinguish as academic effectively engage with the complex problems between naturally and serve as a bridge between academia and practices. Therefore, the need of hour is to tide over the increasing backlogs, bridging the widening gaps sectioned in within the structured time. The Article 217C, 217.2C to appoint the distinguished juries to high courts, which help in existing vacancies, tapping to the academic world valuable Indian judicial system and concerns with existing quality in the year of to come. So moving to the next, how does the welfare politics translate into votes? So basically, right from the time its independence, India has contended with extreme inequality with a large population poor people. Like in 1977, there is twin challenges of high inequality and widespread. But what is the dynamic is that to translate how welfare initiative translate into votes. How do the paper political scientists like K.K. Kailash attempt these answers? And the key contention of voter is to cast their votes. One who cannot assume those who receive the benefits will necessarily vote for their beneficiary party. But what paper describe individual level process, such as how easy to be economic of the voters to be the choices. Background of welfare politics is like overview of scholarship. Welfare politics in India's grouping them into two broad streams. One set of studies focus on programming elements, design, implementation, delivery. Other set has looked at influence of welfare policies on two related elements: credit attribution and voting behavior. They do not necessarily talk each other. This paper brings two strands. Examine if experiences of accessing welfare matter for vote choices before coming. So the paradigm of market led to the growth strategy. Welfarism from being good in itself, provision for upping the appendages, a tool that ensured remained in the face of sustainable rising. So what was the centralization monopolizing credits? The most sector earner schemes have concurrently, the paper notes, incumbent BJP. Accompanied by evident from nomenclature, various centrally funded schemes are other key feature of current welfare regime. To ascertain whether welfare, Kailash divided voter into beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries who benefit one or two more schemes. Preceding the election suggested like the voter don't always follow the credits, like their 30-point increases, and the center compared to 2019 for 5 major schemes about the PDAs. It's PDAs. It's PDS, Public Distribution System, Ujal, Ujwala, free gas connection, Manrega, Ayushman Bharat. Here there are schemes, Ayushman Bharat and the housing scheme. So given the branding, the constant reminder through advertisement in the multiple personal guarantees of Prime Minister, attribution is surprising. Notes the paper but did not credit translated into votes. So the first of all, when welfare becomes new normal, every party wants to competing to promise for similar schemes like delivery, number of services and quantity of services go up. As a result, voters tend to be more discerning about their expectations, not only giving the programs but also to the easy accesses and without quality of citizens. Kailash also tests the hypothesis that double in Indian government, like the same party in power in the state and center, with great welfare offering would enable a time equivalent to monopolize the opposition and suspect their programs across the country. However, the state ruled by oppositions equivalent when voter credit the state government. When voter credit the local government, chances for voting oppositions were higher. The voters acknowledges but not necessarily beholden to the scheme provider. So why does this accumulate of center? The welfare schemes even credits of the last mile delivery issues, discarding voter personal financial condition, another critical factor. These are the factors that just they how the leaders take the voter advantages for in the name of the welfares. Opposition benefited and how it is likely to vote for opposition. So in conclusion, it is fair to say that there are limits for credit claiming, welfare branding, um, and consumer. If welfare provision is now integral element, voter mobilization, the government will have to focus more on improving access, economy, impact, other well-being, and more discouraging voter is the space for opposition by seeking accountability from credit claiming. So the moving to the next article is one the again UGC regulations or state universities law. So just here the news about the 6 of Tamil Nadu universities are present without a vice chancellor. So some of these posts have been vacant from the past few months, over a year. So basically the impasse is due to disagreement between the governor and state government regarding the composition in the search of committee of selection of vice chancellors. The governor, as an ex officio chancellor of state universities under the University Act, insists on including a nominee of University Grant Commission in search of Regulation 7.3 G of UGC regulations, Kerala, and about the 2000 autonomy in university. Conflicting the Supreme Court's ruling have complicated the situations. Like he was the constitutional questions, UGC regulation of subordinate legislations, and crux under section 26 of UGC Act 1956. The crux disputes the whether UGC regulation framed by UGC chairman, vice chairman, and 10 other members superseded the provision. And what is the judicial procession is like article 254(1) the constitution addresses the conflict between central and state laws. If a state law is repugnant to the central law on matters concurrently, the central will make a state law and conflicting part of state law will be void. So the article 251 indicates that it's applied to the plenary laws, and the Supreme Court has constantly upheld the interpretation of several landmark judgments. Like the subject of the Tika Ramji was the state of Uttar Pradesh. It's Tika Ramji was the state of Uttar Pradesh case. Uttar Pradesh, 1956. So here the Supreme Court ruled the Central Sugarcane Control Order 1955 and issued under the Essential Commodities of Act 1955 could not repeal the UP Sugarcane Act 1953. It held the power of repeal if any investment vested in the Parliament, a parliamentary alone exercising. So the Indian Express newspaper Bombay was a Union of India. Versus Bombay newspaper 1984. Subordinate Supreme Court ruled subordinate legislation questions by the, here it was written 1984. Write the rules and overpreach UGC Act is also inconsistent in judgment cases like the Annamai University versus Secretary Informations versus Andhya Sundar Das 2022, Gambhir Das Gandhi State versus Gujarat. The Supreme Court held without articulating the reasons once the article of UGC Act Article 254(1). However, the Kalyani Mataji versus KV Rajya. It's a KV Rajya versus it's KV. What was the case? Kalyani Mathia versus KV Jayaraj. It's 2015 case. The Church versus JP Dharmaj versus Church of South India 2000 Supreme Court. If the state government itself had not adopted the amended regulation, the same cannot be applicable to the institute. UGC regulation apply only to if adopted by state. So it was a mines versus there's also the mine versus Karamchand. Near the cases, the rules that there are 3 recognized procedure: 1 without further notice, 2 is negative resolution procedure, and 3rd one is about the affirmative resolution. So what next? This is the constitutional significance, dispute, doctrinal ambiguities, and ruling by constitutional bench. So Article 24 Constitution applies only to conflict between plenary, central, and state laws, and such clarity is essential not only to restore the normal functioning of state but the delicate balance of legislative power between center and states. So here it is the given constitutional significant dispute, doctrine, ambiguities, a definitive ruling, constitutional bench. There is somewhat similar standoff in Kerala and Punjab. Also face the leadership vacuums, and the Supreme Court ruling have complicated the situation. One set judgment of the governance stances, State Universities Act, and conflict another set of judgment state back. So there are some 3 articles related to UGC. I've tried to cover everything, just reading everything else, and just have a look at the yourself once article, go through it, the important judgments and the cases, and what are the implementation if they're not in the center and state laws implemented UGC grants, what are the vacancies led to the problems. Like these are the everything is added in the article. Just have a go through one side. I've covered. I've tried to deliver my best. It can also be best, but just go through once again. If you just think that the letters are short, but you can read it. So finally the tutorial is over now. So let's have a summary of today's. Here's about it's a lifelong imprisonment of RG Kar case convicted. Stalin urges CM to oppose the draft UGC regulation. Second one is about the study moon inclusion of 779 groups, and the 24-year-old woman death in sentence in murder case. And third one is about the custodial death, man sparks steel in Sambal. Another fire at Mahakum but no casualty reported. IIT Madras director endorses the cow urine properties again. Fifth one is about the electric vehicle next report. Sixth one is about the articles related to UGC draft regulation has a serious constitution, and Kho at the World Cup inaugural of World Cup champion levels. Eighth one is about how the welfare politics translate into the votes. How we distinguish juries as the judges. Ninth one is about the UGC regulation of state universities. So basically I just covered everything that is important related to the point of exam of view, and there are many articles that was least important, so I don't cover it all. So that's for all today. Tomorrow I will come with next article. So till now, take care, stay safe, and good night.